Hi, Catherine here with Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Today on my work table, I'm going to be working on a pair of illusion earrings in an autumn brown soft flex wire. This wire is just a beautiful autumn color. This is a bargain bead box project. We will be using things from the August bargain bead box and from the November bargain bead box, things that are in my stash. So let's get started. So as we turn our eyes to my work table, we see this beautiful mat called Thankful and Blessed. And I was thinking about what I'm thankful for, what blessings the Lord has given me this week. And I have to tell you, we were able to host our home group last night. What a blessing. As I looked around the room and people were chatting and having snacks and getting ready for Bible study, I thought how thankful I was for this wonderful home group. You know, it really becomes like family because we are the family of God. And it is so wonderful, especially to have family in your own home. So, as you think of the things that have happened this week, what are you thankful for? How has the Lord blessed you? I am truly thankful for the blessings of the Lord this day. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I've laid down the mat, and it's time for me to put the pen in the right place. I've even brought this up some so I can get the picture kind of put in the right place for my mat. But I have to tell you, when I first started, I had it slightly in the wrong place. But we're putting it in now, so let's get started. So the first thing I am pulling is from the August bargain bead box. And these are pink rhodonite. They're kind of a pinky brown, and we've used these before. They're 6 millimeter. Next up, from the November bargain bead box is the Mukite and a 6 millimeter as well in these beautiful shades of purples to kind of a milky gray. They're just beautiful for August, the autumn color of these earrings. Next up is an 11-0, and this is in a bronze, and they are checked glass seed beads. Isn't that pretty? I just love these. We will also be pulling, if I get them out and these out of the way. But aren't those colors good together? There you go. You can see this is going to be a beautiful palette. So next up, from my own stash again, are the copper tone spacer beads in a 4 millimeter. These are just beautiful bright copper, and they will look amazing next to the wire we're using for these illusion earrings. Now these earrings and the next few that I am making for myself, so everything can be put on any ear wire that you would prefer. Now this is a bead along and a number 1 crimp because the wire I'm using is a fine because of the type of earring this is. So I'm got the number 1 crimps, and these are the ball crimps, not the tube. And here is our soft flex. It's fine, and it's called Autumn Brown. And when you see the pictures at the end of this video that really showcase that wire, you're going to love it. And here is the wire. I've already cut it. I have cut this in a 8-inch and a 5-inch. You will need 2 8-inches. Look at that color. This brown, this autumn brown, has a beautiful almost orange to it. So it's a brown orange as opposed to an orange brown, and there is a difference. Okay, so as I was saying, I've already cut my wire. You're going to need 2 of each. You're going to need one longer than the other by about 2 inches, and you'll understand why when we get them put together. I'm starting out with a crimp, if I don't drop it. Then I'm putting on a seed bead, and it should have 2 seed beads. There they are in that beautiful bronze. Then I'm putting on the 4mm spacer ball in that bright copper. It's not bronze. The seed beads are bronze. The spacer ball is copper. Okay. And then we're adding that pink rhodonite from the August. I bet you still have some of that around if you take that box. If not, any color will go beautifully. That is a fall color. Then another one of the spacer balls in the 4mm, 2 of the bronze 11/0 seed beads, and a number 1 crimp, because remember, we're using a fine wire. Now the beauty of illusion, whether it's illusion earrings and a new illusion bracelet or illusion necklace, is having the beads seem to float on the wire. That's why you need to begin and end with a crimp. Now I'm making these into teardrops, as you'll see right here. I'm going to go ahead and put on another number 1 crimp, and this is just like crimping anything. You want to make sure that one side of your wire is a little longer because it is an earring, and you want to get this beautiful teardrop shape. Once you've done that, make sure that your wires are not crossed going through or coming out of that crimp. These are crimpers. I have a large hole at the back, a small circle at the front. It's a circle, not a hole. Half a circle, actually. Go ahead and start with the large one at the back. I've made sure, or that's what I'm doing, these things love to cross, so be very careful that they're not crossed. Go ahead and put it in the back of the crimpers. Crimp it in the back, half turn, move to the front, crimp it in the front. And if you haven't crossed your wires, this will hold. Now then, the next step, and the reason you wanted to make one of them longer than the other, is that you're going to go ahead and cut the shortest of the 2 wires. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crimp down. With this, you're going to use your chain nose pliers and just mash across that wire. If you've ever done an illusion necklace with me, you'll know that you need not only to mash across, but you need to take the tips of your chain nose pliers and make sure that it is mashed down on either side of the wire so that's not going anywhere. And that's what I've done here, and those are finished, and we are ready to go ahead and do the top of the earring. Would you take a moment to like and leave a comment for this video? And if you haven't subscribed to us, would you please subscribe and remember to click the notification button so you're notified whenever we put on new content. Here lately, I have been having to put on content as time was available, so you want to make sure you click the notification button. Thank you so much. So for this next section, you're going to go ahead and put on another of the 11/0 seed beads in that bronze, and be very careful with them because you're getting it through 2 wires. Then you're going to bend the shorter of your 2 wires down. You're going to take your flush cutters using the flat edge and not the curved. Put it right up against that seed bead and cut just like that, the shorter of the 2 wires. And so now you only have 1 wire at the top of your earring. So it should look just like that. Now go ahead and put on one of those number 1 crimps from Bead Along, or whichever crimp you are using. I just like them because they're consistent, and I bought enough on Amazon that it's sad. Now then, we are going to bend this wire down towards this crimp, and I have to tell you, if I was going to do this again and the measurements I told you were a little bigger, because I cut mine at 5.5 and 4.5, and it's just not quite enough wire to do this easily. But I was being sparing. I should have given myself another about inch of wire. I'm taking my curved nose pliers because I'm having trouble holding this, and I'm pulling it through that crimp. Make sure that your loop is facing the way you want it to face. And for these earrings, you want it to face in the same plane. You want the loop to be in the same plane as the loop you're going to use on your ear wire. Now, once you've got that done and your wires aren't twisted come out of it, go ahead and put it in the back of the crimp and make a beautiful little M on the back. Move it to the front with a half a turn, mash your handles, and it closes that M. And now you should have your wire on one side, put it right up against the crimp, go ahead and cut it, and there you have it. Now, isn't that pretty? You could be finished right here, but I'm making a 2-loop earring. So I'm going to go ahead and take my shorter wire, and I'm going to change it just a little bit for the shorter earring. I'm going to have to get me out a few more of the crimps. I don't know why I didn't get enough to begin with, but I didn't. So we're going to go ahead and put some more of these beautiful little crimps out. And for the next one on the shorter wire, and I'm sorry, my hand is shaking really bad today. I can always tell when I'm tired, whenever I start this, because my hand really shakes. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. Go ahead and put your crimp on, and then your 11/0, and then your 4mm spacer. And now this time we're going to use those beads from the bargain bead box in November, which is the Mookite. And I'm choosing kind of a milky greenish gray for this one. They come in all different. So pick two that look about the same or that are complementary to each other. Then we're going to go ahead, once we've done that, and we're going to just reverse with the 4mm spacer ball, your 11/0 seed bead, and another one of those number 1 crimps. Bring it to the middle, making sure that when you find your middle, you are going to have one wire on the top longer than the other. Once you do that, go ahead and put on another crimp. Bring it down to where you want this one to be. This one will not have a seed bead on it because it is a smaller loop. So once you've got that crimp where you want it to be, just like that, you're going to take your crimper and you're going to put it in the back. Oh, I moved my hand and my wires jumped. It's really important these stay in the same plane. If your wires are not in the same plane going through that crimp where they parallel each other, one side of the crimp will have no wire in it, and the other side will have 2, and it will not hold. So go ahead and crimp in the back, do a half turn, move it to the front, close the M up by crimping that down together, closing your handles. Give it a little tug to make sure it's there. And now you have a much smaller loop. But isn't that pretty? Now, if you like small earrings, this would be the perfect size for just small little illusion earrings. If you don't wear clips, I will be putting these on clips. By the way, take your chain nose pliers, find the middle of your earring, and go ahead and mash that across. And let's see if I can catch it this time. I think I can. There you go. Mash it, and then take your little tips and mash on either side of that wire so that crimp is nice and flat. Now move your beads right up against the crimp that you just did, keeping it tight together. And then I always grab my crimp and then I move it back down towards the beads, just like, oop, I dropped it. Just like that. Crimp across it so that you got a nice even crimp, and then crimp point and point on either side of that wire so that it holds that crimp in place. And there you have this earring ready to go ahead and make the loop. And because this is a smaller one, as I said, I am not going to put a seed bead on top. So I'm going to go ahead and mash my shorter wire right up against that crimp, and I'm going to cut it. Because if you've done it right, it will hold. So always, it's so important you make sure that your wires parallel each other. All right, just like the previous loop, we're going to go ahead and move that wire down into the crimp. If you have to use help, and I probably will because my hands are shaking too bad today, go ahead and take your chain nose or your round nose pliers, take the end, and you want to make this loop about the same size as the loop you made on the larger teardrop. So I'm pulling it down. Be very careful as you're pulling, or you'll pull it right through. You'll have to start over. Okay, I'm twisting this to make sure that the loop on top is in the same plane as the loop that I am going to. All right. Let me make a little correction here. If you're using, so now I'm going to go ahead and crimp at the back, turn it, and crimp at the front. If you're using a jump ring, go ahead and make sure that your loops are in the same plane. That's what I said with the other one. That's what I've said with this one. But about this point, I decided I was going to go ahead and put these directly onto my clip. So that's why wire is a little forgiving. So if you're very careful and you do this, you can turn your wire so that your wire is opposite of your ear wire. And that's what I have decided to do. I'm sorry, I decided at the last minute. Either way is fine. If you put it in the same plane, it has to have a jump ring. If you turn it, it doesn't. And here is what I mean. If I was going to use an ear wire, I would have to turn my ear wire loop so that these would hang to the front. If you don't want them to hang to the front, it's not a big deal. But I want mine to hang to the front. Now, if you'll notice, I have gone ahead and I have put this together the way it's going to look. Now, as I was saying, if I was going to do this one, I would have to turn it just like that. And you have to be real careful because these things will break on you in a minute. But this way, my ear wire, with the help of a jump ring, would be in a different plane. They would be opposite each other, and the jump ring would bring it to the front. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm using my clips. Because my clip is vertical, just like that, and these are both horizontal, I don't have to use a jump ring to make these illusions face front. So I put on the large one, and then I put on the smaller one, and then I'm going to close up these clips. Close up the circle on my clips. Now, if it was a ear wire or a stud, you could do the same exact thing. But like I said, I was making these for myself. I have an autumn outfit that I want to wear, and these are just perfect for them. Now, isn't that gorgeous? I just love it. So again, no difference if you're making these for yourself. It does not matter whether you're using clips, studs, ear wires, hooks, doesn't matter. Just remember, if they're in the same plane, you have to use a jump ring. If they're in opposite planes, one vertical, one horizontal, you should be able to just put them in the loop that is on whatever you're using to attach these beautiful illusion teardrops to your ear wire. Let's see if we can't get some pictures. Now, isn't that beautiful? I just love these. And you know what? I have to tell you, I've already worn them, and they're gorgeous. Look around in your own stash. See what you have that you would like to make a pair of these illusion earrings. The trick to making this are do not make your beads heavy. Remember, it's just wire, it's an illusion, and if you put a lot of weight on the bottom of these teardrops, they will become misshapen. Isn't that gorgeous? And look at the color of that brown orange. It is amazing. Here's some pictures. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I've had a lot of fun making these earrings, and I highly encourage you to make a pair of these for yourself. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Catherine, handmade by Circle Art Designs. Check out our shop at circleartdesigns.net. God bless y'all. I'll see you next week.